So to kick off this evening, we've got Gwynn Thomas to discuss resistance from below, Riot, Revolution and Rebellion in the pre-modern world. Take it away, Gwynn.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, comrades, friends. Let's try a first stab at what I might call a lexicon of social upheaval. You start with a riot, and then you go on to tumult, a disturbance, disorder, rebellion, revolt, and finally revolution. The past, they say, is another country, and they do things differently there. Tonight I want to go back to that period of history which has been labelled fairly recently. It's a fairly loose label called the Europe of early modern times, early modern Europe, and it covers roughly the period 1500 to say 1750 or possibly 1789. It's a Europe of dynasties. It's not a Europe of nation states. It's a Europe which is 90% rural, with a subsistence economy, which is market involved but not market oriented. The basic unit of Europe in the early modern period is the family and the household, including any servants, and also, interestingly, including the dead. The slightly larger unit would be the village, and in turn, possibly a market town. Towns of 5,000 population in this period are large towns. It's a face-to-face community in which status and reliability are extremely important. The heartbeat of this society is, of course, the harvest. 1 in 4 harvests fail, and famine is a reality, say once every 10 years. 70% of the income of the vast majority of people goes on food and drink. Any small surpluses from the subsistence economy is sold on a local market town to buy things that the village cannot provide. It's a period in which population growth starts pressing on the means of subsistence. Gone are the days of the Black Death and the collapse in population. By about 1500, the population of early modern Europe is beginning to recover. And poverty is becoming a serious problem. It's a time of declining living standards. Labourers in about 1650 would now work 4 times as long to buy the same amount of food as they did in 1450. It's a society, we're told, of 3 orders. The idea of classes hasn't arisen yet, and this is perhaps something we can debate in the questions and answers. The 3 orders in society are, at the very top you have the king, and then below him you have the clergy, below the clergy you have the nobility, and the vast majority of the rest at the bottom. It's a society where the nobility and the clergy offer protection in exchange for deference. But there is something burrowing away at the foundations of this society, which I'll deal with in a minute. As a definition, we can consider revolution as being any sharp, sudden change in the location of political power, which involved either the use of a threat of violence, and if successful, expresses itself in the manifest and perhaps radical transformation of the process of government, the accepted foundations of sovereignty on legitimacy, and the conception of the political and social order. Revolutions in early modern Europe are extremely rare. They consist of possibly the English civil law, which some call the English Revolution, and the gaining of independence by the Dutch from their Spanish rulers in the Netherlands. What are the preconditions for revolution? Sorry, comrades. Hold it, Mr. Cameraman. What are the factors that are undermining this, this society? The basic idea of society in early modern Europe is that of the great chain of being, which is a universally God-ordained natural order. Sorry, comrades. And it's a means that was used for explaining what was going on and why things were the way they were. It accounted for everyone and excluded no one. Status in this society was conferred by birth and not by wealth. It was a system whereby the lower orders showed or exercised deference to the monarch, the aristocracy and the gentry, and they in turn were responsible for the well-being of the lower orders. And in such a society there could be no struggle, as there can be no struggle between the rungs of a ladder or the spokes of a wheel. Revolution in this period meant not a complete change to something new, but a return to the starting point. What was the background? Sorry, comrades. What was the background noise to this society? What kinds of things were happening, chipping away at this great chain of being? Well, first I mentioned population growth and its increasing pressure on resources. Secondly, there was arrival of what you might call new wealth from the silver mines of the New World, also new wealth from the profits of trade and commerce. So it wasn't a static society. It's a society